Welcome everyone to the March edition of Geosaurus Unleashed. Kind of hard to believe we're already to March of 2021, but we're excited because we're going to continue our series on highlighting the Geospatial Arch Grant winners for this year. And hopefully you guys have had the opportunity to listen to Ali Al-Jabri from Quima and Byron Porter from Hum and Wendy McLennan Gregory from eMerge. All of those were, in my opinion, fascinating talks, and I think we all learned a lot from those conversations. So I also hope you had the opportunity to tune into the joint venture that we have with Cortex and GeoFutures called Geo Innovation. I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had Nancy Coleman from Maxar talking about commercial space industry, and that was moderated by Dennis Muhlenberg. That was really a fascinating talk. We'll do those monthly, and of course, Maxar, our friends at Maxar are right across the street in the Globe building. So I also had the opportunity this morning to moderate a panel on augmented reality, virtual reality for USGIF's GeoConnect series. If you get a chance to see that, there was outstanding leaders from industry and academia talking about the trends, opportunities, and challenges moving forward with digital immersion technology. So if you can find the recording on that, or we can maybe post that, that was a fun thing to do. So with that, we'll transition to our guest of honor for today's discussion, Elango Thevar. He is the co-founder of NEER AI. I'm looking forward to this discussion. I was completely enthralled by the video that you had sent us last week that as we were prepping for this event. So BJ, with that, could you cue up the video?
I grew up in a very small town in India, less than 1,000 people, and we did not have running water in our house. As a boy in your house, you're responsible to go and get the water from the community well and keep it for cooking and cleaning and drinking for a couple of days. And I hated it. It was like 1 hour, back and forth. It's not only me, every house in the village, they have to do this, keep the water for cleaning and cooking. I came to the United States in 2002 for higher studies. And the first thing I noticed was when you turn on the tab, you get this 24/7 clean drinking water. And when you flush the toilet, the dirty water, magically disappears. And it's just amazing experience. It felt like magic at that time. But when I became a water engineer, I realized that the magic was a lot less magical than it first appeared. The water system in the United States are old, inefficient, and rapidly failing infrastructures. And as climate change continues to change the environment and the way that we live in, our systems are being stretched to their very limits. In the United States, every 2 minutes, there is a water main break. There are more than 90,000 sewer overflows occurs in any given year. And more than 14 million properties are at risk of flooding each year. And we spend more than $60 billion on reactive repairs and routine maintenance to manage these inefficient systems. My name is Elango Thevar, founder and CEO of NEER. I created NEER platform, provide actionable intelligence to the communities to manage their infrastructure, proactively. I always felt that we are chasing the problem, not actually getting in front of the problem. The solutions are very fragmented. And that's the reason I embarked on this journey. In order to make sure our water infrastructure can last and be effective now and into the future, we need a simple, easy to use tool that communities can use to design, optimize, and manage their water systems. NEER is a cloud-based machine learning platform to help communities optimize existing water infrastructure and create an efficient system. It is a tool that works for everyone, from engineers managing really sophisticated systems to communities starting to build a new infrastructure. Our main goal is to bring an affordable solution to every communities in the world, helping them to make a proactive, data-driven decision about their water, sewer, and stormwater infrastructures in a single platform. It's my dream that someday everyone will be able to access the safe, clean water they need without ever having to think or worry about how it got there, just like magic.
All right, well done, well done. Elango, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Hope you're doing well, and thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you so much for inviting me. And good afternoon to all the attendees and panelists, and also special thanks to Arch Grants and T-Rex and all the St. Louis community. I'm very excited for this.
Good. Well, we're certainly glad and honored you're a part of our community. So I have a list of questions that I want to ask you to get the better know you and your company and your technology a little bit more. And of course we invite the audience to send in any questions you may have through the chat session, and BJ typically monitors that. So from the video, we got a little bit about your background, but how did you get here in St. Louis? I noticed when you're at university, you had some kind of orange colored paraphernalia on. So was that University of Illinois? Was that University of Virginia?
It's neither of those. It's Oklahoma State. It's in Stillwater. So yeah, I did grow up in a very small town, just to give you a high level overview. And I came here in 2002, went to Oklahoma State, got my master's in environmental engineering, graduated 2004, and worked there for a small company for a little over a year, 15 months. And I came to Kansas City in 2005, September, worked for a major consulting firm for last 15 years. And I left to start this NEER in April 2020. Mm-hmm. So that's the recap.
Yeah. So where I'm from, Ohio State University, we call Oklahoma State the other OSU.
Yeah, that's right. I always confuse when I watch like a football game, and you kind of like OSU. That's not my team,
Yeah. So well, again, glad to have you here. So again, I mean, in the video, it kind of explains a little bit, but what encouraged you, to break off and found the company focused on water management, on a water management platform?
Yeah. So I worked for consulting for the last 15 years. I think 2019 or 18, I was kind of tinkering with different technology, and what got started me was I read an article about Day Zero, which is Cape Town, South Africa, where Day Zero is like the city officially running out of water, so they turn off. Think about like St. Louis, or like you get in the water supply, and in Missouri Water, American Water, they say like, okay, we're going to turn off such and such date, so you're not going to get any more water. So it's a crazy, to think about that, right? For bigger cities like Cape Town, South Africa. So they're projecting they're actually running out of water in a certain date. So they kind of telling all the citizens to reduce their water consumptions and all this stuff. So the Day Zero is the one that kind of triggered me to, tinkering with the different technology. And the one thing that I was plugged into when I was in Kansas City was blockchain space. So I was, trying to understand maybe blockchain technology could maybe help solve some of the, issues with the water, management issues. So that kind of tinkering with blockchain space for a year. And then I realized it's a much, much bigger, team to, finish that vision. So solving the global water problem, which is kind of a bigger vision for that. So I early 2020, I changed my strategy a little bit. That I read a book called Troubled Water, which is by Seth Siegel, which talks about what's wrong with the American water system. It's a great book. If you're a water engineer, you have to read the book. And in that book, they talk about, how many water systems in the United States and how broken that is. So that's the turning point in my life, I would say. Early 2020, March, I kind of emotionally, I felt that there are 52,000 water utilities in the United States, and 99.9% of the utilities are smaller and medium-sized utilities, less than 100,000 population they serve. Growing up in a small town in India, I got connected immediately emotionally, and then I decided I want to dedicate my life to help the small communities. And some of the problems they are facing, they need tools to manage the water system. It was mind-boggling for me to understand there is no tools available for these communities to manage this water system more efficiently. So that's kind of triggering point for me to found NEER. April 2020. That's where I founded NEER, and we've been 11 months now. So we've grown a little bit since we started. And thanks to the support of, Arch grants. And also we got into a couple programs in the nation, one in Wisconsin and one in Hawaii. So that's kind of, from consulting world to seeing, I want to, leverage my skill set, and education to help small communities. So that's what, encouraged me to start NEER. So.
Yeah, you mentioned the Wisconsin. That wouldn't happen to be the Water Institute, is it? I know Patty, who I'm sure who's our executive director. I mean, she's been doing some research on a Water Institute. I think it was in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Water Council. Yeah, I mean, we got plugged into that, but yeah, the program we got selected is not Water Council. It's called Generator. They invest in early stage companies. It's a accelerator program. They take on, you have an idea, they take you in, and then they, train you, and then they groom you, and then take you through the whole journey. It's a 12-week program. We did that, which is a great experience for me because I did have, even though I have an engineering background, I did also finish my MBA in 2016 from University of Missouri, Kansas City. That kind of helped me, thinking a little bit larger scale that I want to do something in the space, want to help the communities, especially smaller to medium sized. That's my passion. And it just fell in the right place, the right time with the Generator. And after that, we got selected with the Elemental program in Hawaii, which is one of the significant, validation, for me, that I really want to solve this problem for the communities all over the world, not only in the United States. It seems like, in 6-7 years, we're going to have a lot of water stress. 2/3 of the population is going to be, experimenting some kind of water stress. So we need to make sure that we need a tool that works for everybody. For me, from the beginning, from day one, from NEER mission is to bring an affordable tool to communities. You can build the tools, very expensive tool that works for only St. Louis or, New York City. That's not my mission. My mission is to bring an affordable tool that helps global communities seamlessly. That's from the day one, my mission, my company vision. I think we can do that. The technology's there. And our team is extremely excited to solve this problem, in our lifetime, because water is such a dynamic and complex issue. And we want to be, able to help these communities to make a very efficient, decisions. So.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So let's dig into the technology a little bit. So what is the basic premise and how does it work?
Yeah, so mainly, there's in the last 5 years, there's dramatic change in water space. There's a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning, applications came in in the water industry. So my kind of philosophy is would leverage the most advanced tool like machine learning or artificial intelligence to break the barrier to the small community. So the technology is purely machine learning. So when I say machine learning, people kind of interchange artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. But I want to make a point that these are different things. Artificial intelligence is the goal. That's the goal everybody's, trying to get to, able to, computer things like human and able to recommend, certain things and able to give you directions. That's the true artificial intelligence. We are not there yet. What we are doing is purely a machine learning. We are building algorithm to help communities on the water system. Where is the next water main break is going to be? Where is the next sewer overflow is going to be? Where is the next, basement backup is going to be? Where is the next flooding is going to be? And you have this limited amount of human capital and and dollars that you want to make sure that you're investing in the right locations to get the most benefit. So our goal is to go to the community, get the data. We understand their data, what kind of data they have, and then able to extract intelligence from the data and then provide the intelligence back to them. There is a better way of doing things. Like a small community, I can give you an example. A operator or a director of public works, he's been there for like 20, 30 years. He kind of know exactly where the problem areas are, but he's using his intelligence, kind of like, where to replace the next pipe and stuff like that. But if we can bring that data into the computer, do the subjectivity and capturing that institutional knowledge in the data set, we're able to extract intelligence, not only today, but also continue to get better over time, Right. So that's kind of the technology piece. It's still early on because you're never going to be through, the artificial intelligence is going to be the goal, right? So the more data you get and the more data you feed into your, AI model, and one day, hopefully we can crack the code. But I think it's working so far, from the data that we gather and able to extract intelligence. It's very powerful technology. So I think our technology is unique because we do water, sewer, and stormwater, like all the different water sector in one platform. That's kind of a very powerful, so that we can bring down the cost significantly and able to bridge the gap. You don't need to be, San Francisco, you don't need to be New York City, city of Raytown or city of Warrensburg or St. Joe or suburbs of any cities in St. Louis can afford the same technology, now because, technology is there. So.
Right. So let me ask you about that relationship with the municipalities and the utility companies. So are they actively all in on let's figure out a solution, or are their hands tied that, hey, we know our infrastructure is crumbling, but we just don't have the resources to invest in technologies like yours that are going to make things better?
Yeah, they haven't seen any tools like NEER before. That's what I'm excited about. Our team is excited about. When we go and talk to the people and they say, some communities still on paper maps, and the digital, we talk about, all this, we talk about digital water, digital twin and all this stuff, but it never penetrated to the smallest communities in America, which is kind of sad in my opinion. That, I travel quite a bit in Missouri and Kansas, and, able to see this community. They're still in the paper. They're not in a, digital format. So the first thing we tell them, hey, we can actually transform all your things into a digital, map, and that will store forever. I mean, just doing that without providing any intelligence, it's a great value proposition for the communities. And they see a value tremendously because this is kind of the way forward. We provide industry benchmark, like, how your utilities are, you can save tremendous amount of money from day one. We can able to, it's not like the way you're doing things is fine, but let's transfer all those information into digital format. And then as soon as you transfer the digital format, we're able to save you at least, 10 to 20% immediately. In the long run, you're going to save 30% or 40%, even 50% in some cases, So it's a huge value proposition for them, just, sticking to their gut or human intuition, how they spend their dollars in, So I think there are some cities that jump right away. Some cities, they just wanted to see, some kind of, validation, that's what we are working with a lot of communities. We can show the case studies, going forward, we can actually how other communities are using the technology to optimize their dollars. So.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned some of the cities that you're working in, they have paper maps. And one of the passions that Patty and I have, and others in this region, are really focused on getting St. Louis to the point where they actually have a digital twin. And so I know in Kansas City, they had an effort. I don't know how far they progressed on that, but cities that have produced a digital twin, or even in parts of the city, how advantageous are those types of models for a company like you to do that assessment of infrastructure and build, train your tools on it?
It's huge. It's huge. It's like one of those things, the analogy that you're using, are they close to the end zone, or are they like in the first yard, or they are like a 99 yard, right? If you have a digital twin, you are like a 90 to 99 yard, you just leverage your scheme of data a little bit differently. You can train it, and then you can achieve it within 3, 4, 5 weeks. But if you have a paper max, you are on the other end of the end zone, right? So you have to, convert those, because 80% of the time we spend is actually cleaning the data and then documenting those, converting the paper maps into the digital information. So, yeah, it's huge. I think, they are, if they are already making that effort to convert all the digital information or digital twin, they're very close to be, our client, we can take the data, we can, provide intelligence right away, so it's with a minimal effort, so. In Kansas, I think statewide, they implemented GIS mapping. They supported, a lot of, KDHE, the EPA supported kind of, transforming paper maps to digital maps. And I wish, I'm actually talking to Missouri DNR, like we need to actually push this, to convert all this, digitizing all this infrastructure. We need to have some kind of a state incentive for the small communities to do that. It will be very powerful. Tool.
That's great. We're just going to keep beating the drum here. There was an effort to create a digital twin of the city that didn't get the appropriate fund or the necessary funding, and of course it was extremely disappointing for all of us that are in this business, because obviously it advanced everything that we're trying to do from the geospatial side, and obviously like tools like yours. So,
yeah.
Well, I would just keep beating the drum. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, our first customer, he embraced us. When we starting it out, we actually, validation is, we talked to one of the cities, and then they said, like, we'll do it for free, and they embraced us. City of Rayton, Jose Leon, he's the director of public works. I want to give a huge shout out to him, because in a startup world, especially, how startup works, it's extremely difficult, to build, startup, and especially in the water sector, it's even difficult, because it's, we are, working with the Gulf sector. So, he embraced us, and I think the value that we provided in the last 8-10 months speaks for itself, and we can't wait to share that, knowledge with other communities. I think, in my opinion, that is very transformative. I think that's going to change the way we do things in the water sector, and it's going to benefit not only, my ideal, small community. They don't have anything. We go in there, we take everything, and then we provide the intelligence. We met with the city council. We provided all these maps and everything. They're very impressed, and I want to do that for all the communities in Missouri. That's kind of my dream in the next couple of years. Every community, there is no, it's very affordable. It's going to change the way we do things. So very excited for that. So
that is exciting. So we talked a little bit about your technology and its effectiveness towards water management and what you're driving to. Have you thought about how this technology could apply, if modified, to a different industry sector, or
Yeah, absolutely. The technology, any pipe, you can actually leverage that, any underground infrastructure, any utilities, especially the oil and gas. We haven't seriously talking about it, because I think there is so much work that needs to be done in the water industry, water sector. I always tell that, United States is one of the advanced countries in the world, and the water infrastructure, I think, I don't know if you followed in the last, few weeks, American Society of Civil Engineers, they released their grade, water, they released C minus, and, sewer it's D, stormwater is D, it can be, we got to lead this, industry. So there's so much work needs to be done in the water sector, in my opinion. But with that said, we also, tinkering with oil, gas, especially gas pipelines, that could be applicable. But I think any AI, you need data, you need training, you need to, prove that it works. So if you can, get some pilots, we're also talking with some of the utilities in the St. Louis region. So if we can get some pilots and we can test it out, it can be transferable. We are willing to, take the risk and expand our market, the different, sectors. But it's still early on. We are only like almost, just a year old. We are kind of like wanted to grow organically, at the same time, we want to focus and true to our industry, especially in the water sector. Like I said, there's a lot of work needs to be done in the water space. And my dream is, my goal is, to make a difference in those communities first. So
yeah, absolutely. So interestingly enough, you said it actually caught my attention. You founded this in April of 2020. So by my math, we were about a couple weeks into the pandemic. And so, I mean, how is this? I mean, you're just getting off the ground. How has this pandemic impacted NEER?
it's affected, personally, yes, affected us. I mean, we are not affected as bad as the restaurant industry, but yeah, it did. In a sense that, I mean, like I wasn't imagined that, I will do this during the pandemic, which is not planned. I thought it will go away within 2-3 weeks. I should have left earlier, but no regrets though. Like I feel like the water industry is adjusting to pandemic. They already adjusted. Now I can have a call with any utilities in the country. Before it was I have to go drive there and meet them one-on-one. In a kind of sense, blessing that I can actually, talk to any utilities in the nation. Matter of fact, internationally, I can talk to them. Now, I think this pandemic brought everybody closer, in my opinion, especially the water sector. They were talking about digital twin for the last, maybe last 10, 15 years, but they never, there's only like few communities, they adopted it. But I think this pandemic is going to push that acceleration to digital water, in my opinion, the next 5 years. I think it's affected us a little bit, but not a whole lot. I feel like I think we got the vaccines and everything. I think I'm very positive that it's gonna good for us, and the industry is changing, especially digital twin. They can remotely monitor and all the stuff, so which is very exciting for us. So I think it's a blessing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it certainly has given people an opportunity to change their focus. Do some strategic planning or take a strategic pause instead of reacting to everything. So yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that it's had its share of I hate to say positive advantages, but I mean, yeah, I mean there's certain things that have been I guess rewarded from it. So let me ask you. So one of the other things we like to ask the Arch Grant recipients is, so you've been in a number of different innovation centers or interacted, in different states or whatever. So how do you kind of assess what we're doing here and kind of what do we do well and what do we need to do better?
I think you guys are doing amazing. I mean, like I think before Arch Grants was, just like a one-off, like, you get in Arch Grants and then they probably, there is a follow-on capital available to support that. But now I think Arch Grants stepped up their game significantly, especially with the NGA. And also there's a, $100,000 on top of, supporting, on the Arch Grants recipients. I think the startup community in St. Louis is very active, extremely helpful. Especially, and the key thing, in my opinion, is you got to have a follow-on capital and support, otherwise, any startup will die soon, like they get excited, they build something, and then like if they don't, get some kind of traction, then they just like, they can't, off the ground. So I think the follow-on support, and then also the community, the network, that if you want to talk to somebody, you can actually reach out to Julia, and then she will connect somebody to, okay, we'll connect you to talk to this guy, So I think the network and the follow-on capital, the entrepreneur support, it's amazing. I learned so much in the last, since the last 3-4 months. I know it's pandemic. We didn't do like a happy hour or anything like that face-to-face, but based on, virtual stuff, it's a great network. And people are reaching out to me, even like, hey, I really love what you're doing, I really support your mission, your vision, let me know how I can be helpful, so, which is kind of encourages me, go like, talk to them and, find their expertise and see if we can actually leverage their network to, get in front of these communities. Because the first hard part for startup, especially water startup, is to get in front of the clients first. First you need to show up and face to face, and show what you can do for the community, why your product is different than what's out there in the market, and how we are different, and how we can actually bring tremendous value to your community. That's that week I feel like I can convince that. The first part is getting in front of the clients and at the one-on-one. So the network and the follow-on capital and Arch Grants, that's been doing it for so many years. And kudos to Emily and your entire team. Now the geospatial space that wanted to the next 5-10 years, St. Louis wants to be the Geospatial Innovation Center, which is even amazing. This is exactly what we do. We deal with maps every day. Our future product map and growth strategy can align with exactly the geospatial sector. So I think it's going to be great for us, especially for NEER. I'm extremely impressed with what you guys able to accomplish for the startup companies. So
that's good feedback. Thanks. So I know I want to get to some questions if there's some audience. But one of the things that we always ask is, we want to get to know Elango a little bit better. When you're not immersed in NEER technology, I'm worrying about water. What are you up to?
Well, what I'm up to, I mean, like I can differentiate, pre-pandemic and pandemic, normally in the normal times, my hobbies are, I'm a decent salsa dancer. So I love salsa dancing. Very few people, they know about me. So that's what I normally do. So I haven't danced in almost a year. So I don't know how that, really probably bad now. And in the pandemic, I've been, spending a lot of time with my, son. My son has 7-year-old, and the schools are, how, schools are now. It's half and half. I think 2 days he goes to the school. So most of the time, I love spending time with him. Especially I feel like the weather is getting nice, so you can take a bike ride and stuff like that. So those are my 2 things. I'm also trying to find some new hobbies, like tasting some tequilas. My friend is introducing me to tequilas, different tequilas. So that's something that I'm planning to venture on. So,
well, there's I can't help you with the tequila, but we have a little group of bourbon drinkers here, aficionados. So you're welcome to work into that club. And I don't know that we have any can support the salsa dancing. I may be mistaken. But we'll search the crowds here and see what we can come up with. So.
Oh, there is salsa scene. I've been there. There's even a salsa congress. I was there like a couple years ago. So they do have a congress there, So I've been plugged into salsa scene in St. Louis. Yeah.
Okay. I was talking about within T-Rex. I have not seen any type of talent like that, but I'm sure it's hidden. So, hey, BJ, that's all that I have. So, BJ, did we have any questions from Q&A?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got, so we talked a little bit about the high end of data that you'd like to see and work with a digital twin, more so on the low end, on the minimum. What kind of existing data needs to be in place at a minimum to, if a municipality would like to work with NEER?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we don't, when we go to the communities, we don't ask like, you got to have a minimum, this amount of data for us to help. So we don't care how what kind of data they have, paper maps, or some GIS data. There's a lot of GIS, only 50% GIS data. A lot of them are missing. They know exact location what it is, but they don't know what kind of material that is, how deep the pipe is in. So what we do is we take the data, whatever the data is, and then we normalize it, meaning we fill in all the data gaps, and we did develop a lot of kind of a micro machine learning algorithm to populate some of the missing information, using some of the, basic technology like clustering, neighborhood analysis and stuff like that. So we do that. And then once we fill in all the data, and then we have a lot of, in-house open source data that we tap into, weather data, soil type, groundwater, transportation network, and tree canopy, land use, water quality, violations in the rivers and networks. So there's a lot of additional data we bring in on top of, the data they have, the data we, fill in, plus a lot of open source data, and then be able to, predict risk based on that.
Great. And on the machine learning side, we talked some about the technology here, but with artificial intelligence and machine learning for predictive analysis, how might you be training your machines to look for predictive analyses?
Yeah. So when we go to the city, they already know where the problem areas are, like last 5 years where they have failed pipes, where they have, issues, basement backups and everything. So we gather that information and then be able to back validate, that, and we use that to train the data set. So, so the data comes from the community, so what we're looking for is the problem areas, whether the AI can predict those problem areas, by actually showing the data of the past failures, and then be able to validate that using the same data set. We don't show all the data set, but we kind of take few of the data sets and then we keep it ourselves, and then we train the data set, and then we show the data that's not seen before, and then see whether the machine learning algorithm can predict that failures, and then we just continue to, if it's not predicting, then maybe we need to add some data set, additional data set. Why it's not predicting, we have to optimize it. That's what any machine learning algorithm, you have to test first, you have to validate, and then you have to, continue to retrain the model. So it's a journey, right? So you're not going to be, okay, build the AI, it's working, right? It's a continuous journey. So we wanted to be, continue to feedback loop, if we can land on 80% accuracy, which is really good for, water infrastructure, and then we can continue to get better, and hopefully we reach, 2 or 3 standard deviations someday. So.
Great.
Hey,
Go ahead.
did you have any more, BJ? No, I was just going to ask how many employees do you guys have currently, Elango?
We have 4. We have 4.
Yeah, one more from the audience here kind of piggybacks on what you were talking about just then. But currently, how would you best self-define your business? Are you an asset management system? Are you primarily helping with decision support or modeling, or all of the above?
All of the above, and if you really want to help the small communities, they don't want go buy like, 6 or 7 different software to do different things. Our goal is to solve this problem once for all. You know, we're not solving like, okay, we fix this, we fix that, we fix that. We need to have a solution that solve this problem for good. You know, that's kind of my vision. So you want to do water, sewer, and stormwater. Everything is connected anyway. So it's a dynamic system. You know, what you use your water, drinking water, you know, when you take a shower, it goes out as a sewer, right? And then when it rains, you know, it penetrates into your sewer as a infiltration. And then also, you know, if you have a combined sewer, it dumps into your river. And then the same river, some communities is taking that water and then treating it and providing that to, you know, one of their community downstream. So everything is connected. We're starting, we're just trying to experiment, but our goal is we are not there yet, of course, but I think our goal is to solve everything in one kind of a solution. So.
Hey, Elango. If somebody that's tuned in today or watches the recording or whatever wants to get a hold of you or for a demonstration or a follow-up discussion, what's the best way to do that?
I'm very active in LinkedIn, so they can just, come to LinkedIn, connect Elango Thevar, typed in a search, or maybe NEER.ai, and then, follow us there. And message me. I'm very, very open to new connections, new network, yeah, very approachable there. So
good. BJ, did we have any other questions from the audience before I close?
If anyone wants to talk about salsa dancing, now is your time.
BJ, now you're talking my language. Yeah.
All right. Well, it was obviously a pleasure having you with us today. We're really excited that you're a part of the St. Louis community as well as the geospatial community. And obviously, if there's anything that we can do to help and grow and make connections for you, we're all in on that. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks when you're back in town.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. All right. Thanks, everyone.